Hi there, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate the gift of your attention. I also extremely appreciate all the comments, the engagement you guys have been doing with the thumbs up and sharing and the subscriptions. So I do appreciate your support and your engagement in helping this channel grow and spreading the light. It's been 2 weeks since I've made a YouTube video. Sorry for the delay. I had some personal issues that prevented me from shooting a video, but I'm back on track and I'm here to share you a lot of information, a lot of spiritual knowledge to help you on your ascension journey. Okay, so in this video we are going to cover the differences in 3D, 4D and 5D state of consciousness, and discovering which state of consciousness you are currently in and what reality that's going to result in you creating from that state of consciousness. Okay, so I will attempt to make this video short. I can't promise that because I do have a lot of topics, a lot of areas I want to cover, but I will be, to the point, direct, and very clear with my communication, so that way you guys are getting all this information in a simple and clear manner to understand. So without further ado, let's go straight into the topic of 3D, 4D and 5D state of consciousness and what it all means, and going into the nitty-gritty details of it all. And we're gonna go into discussing where we are, what state of consciousness we are currently in right now, more specifically what state of consciousness Gaia is currently in right now. Okay, so now for thousands of years, planet Earth, also known as Gaia, has been in a very low density, okay, in terms of energy. She's been in a 3D, which is third density state of consciousness, which means the Schumann resonance for that density is very, very low. It's about 7.833 hertz, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, that's a very low frequency. It's extremely dense. It gives the illusion that we are in a solid reality, that everything is very dense. All matter has solidity. Okay, however, since the 1980s, there has been a slow, steady stream of increase of photon lights from the sun that has been increasing the Schumann resonance. This is going to be very important for you guys to look into, because this will also give you an indication where we are at and where we're going to be transitioning to. Okay, so since the 1980s, there's been this increase in Schumann resonance, and it spiked in 2019, and since the last 3 full moons, super moons we've had, that Schumann resonance has increased to as much as 60 hertz. Some days it's gone as high as 90 hertz. So we're talking about a tremendous increase in Schumann resonance and gamma rays that's hitting the earth right now. What that means in terms of the inhabitants on this planet is that we are also going through an ascension process with Gaia. That means there's been upgrades in our DNA. The illusion of time is also collapsing. As you guys may be aware, you guys probably feel like, there's not enough hours in a day, and there's a reason for that. As the Schumann resonance increases, as the Earth's frequency increases, the illusion of time collapses. This is the reason why we feel like time is speeding up all the time. There's just not enough hours in the day. This is due to the increase in that Schumann resonance. Okay, when Gaia fully extends to 5D state of consciousness, it's gonna be well over 100 hertz. Okay, so that means everything's gonna be manifesting instantly. Right now, because Gaia is in 4D state of consciousness, you're manifesting at a faster rate. Okay, things are becoming close, very close to instant. Not quite there yet, but it's very close to being instantaneous. So be careful with what your thoughts, your beliefs are, because you will manifest your beliefs and your thoughts, whatever it is you're holding. So if you're having a lot of fears, be careful. Make sure you bring those fears to the surface, but then don't align with those fears. Not dismiss it, but choose the opposite belief of what it is you have in fear. So that way you don't attract that reality that you are, emitting that frequency, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that's just a disclaimer that yes, Gaia is ascending. We're all ascending with Gaia. So be very careful of your thoughts, especially your feelings, what you're putting out there, and your belief, because you will be shifting reality very quickly. Okay, so now I'm here to discuss with you and share with you my knowledge on the differences with 3D, 4D, and 5D state of consciousness. Okay, we're gonna be talking. The reason why we have this different these labels is to help differentiate the different state of consciousness and the different state of being that each people on the earth are in. We're probably in a mixture of one of these three states throughout the whole day. Not all of us are always in 4D or 3D or 5D. So, but now I'm going to go into details what they all mean, so you guys have an understanding when I'm describing these labels. Okay, so third density, this is in terms of frequency here. Okay, third density means that a person who is vibrating in this state of consciousness, when it comes to their relationship with God and Source, people with a third density state of consciousness, they believe in the illusion that God is separate from themselves. Okay, that either God is something external from themselves, that God is sometimes they don't even believe that God exists. So you have that polarity that the Christians, the Muslims, and all these religious people, they believe God is something outside of themselves, some omnipotent, powerful being that's outside of themselves. And there are atheists who are evolutionists who believe that God doesn't exist, for example. Okay, in 4D state of consciousness, people are rejecting religion. People are waking up to the lies of religion. They also reject a lot of the theory of Darwin, the theory of evolution. They also reject that too. So they're already waking up to the illusions of the 3D matrix. Okay, so they're going on a spiritual journey and finding out their own truth. They're rejecting the programming of the matrix. In 5D state of consciousness, the people in this category, they have full consciousness and awareness that they are God. They are Source. They are not a part of Source, but they are Source. They are a spiritual being having a human experience. So they know that they are God themselves, and they no longer subscribe to this belief that God is something outside of themselves. They know that they are God. They have all the powers of God, and they know they're in charge of their creation, and they know that they are the creators of their own reality. So there, now you see the differentiation on the three different levels of state, on the three different density in the state of consciousness. Okay, from the illusion of the separation from Source, the people in the 3D state of consciousness formulate the belief that there's limitations, there's scarcity, there's fear, there is what else? There's competition, there's greed, there's power over other people. This is where we have a lot of the problems in planet Earth comes from. It's because of this separation consciousness that we're not Source, we're not God, that we are something outside, we are something separated from Source. That's where we have all these different beliefs that comes from. Now you see why we have wars, we have famine, we have poverty, we have greed, we have power. It's from this separate 3D separate state of consciousness where all these issues come from, all these power struggle comes from. Now in 4D state of consciousness, people are awakened. They're on a spiritual journey to look for something deeper, more meaningful than this materialistic world. Okay, they're slowly rejecting the rat race. They're wanting to find their purpose more. They're wanting to find a higher purpose, a higher calling for themselves, and they're going into spirituality a lot more and rejecting a lot of these concepts that the Matrix is teaching them, that that God is outside of themselves, and all of these other issues that comes with that separation consciousness. In 5D state of consciousness, beings in the state of consciousness know that we are all one. We all came from the same source. We're all made from the same source. We're made from unconditional love from source. So there's no separation between you and I. Beings in the 5D state of consciousness love other beings unconditionally. That they wouldn't dare to hurt even an insect. They wouldn't even dare to hurt plants and other living beings because they know that each of these living entities is source, but in a different form, in a different aspect. So they honor and they respect all life. So people and beings in 5D state of consciousness are resonating in a very high frequency of unconditional love. They have a lot of compassion. They have a lot of tolerance for other beings. And this is where you start creating heaven on earth with this state of consciousness, because they understand the higher truth, the higher purpose of why we're here. Okay, we're gonna go diving a lot more deeper now. Okay, now in 3D state of consciousness, it's the ego that's primarily in control. The ego is that state of being that you're always reacting. Okay, when there's circumstance happen, you're reacting to it. It's automatic. You don't think too much. It's a program you have built in, and the ego is in charge, and you react to it. Okay, and usually it's a negative reaction to that circumstance, and we keep on reacting to the. We're always gonna be given a challenge in our life, and we have the opportunity to either react to it or we respond to it. People in 3D state of consciousness will always choose the reaction mode, which is a very automatic mode of way of being. There's no conscious thinking on what they're doing. Okay, and 4D state of consciousness, it's a combination of the ego and the higher self. It's an amalgamation of both. Sometimes they're a little bit more conscious in how they want to choose to respond to the situation. Other times they let the ego be in control and they just react very poorly, either out of anger, out of frustration, cursing, violence, whatever it is. This 4D is very malleable. It's a reality is not so solid. Okay, it's very malleable. The energy is not so dense. It's a high vibration, so therefore the frequency is higher, so things are not so dense. So you can shift in between being your lower self, which is the ego, and you can also shift to also being your higher self. Okay, this is where that in between is being met at 4D state of consciousness. The ego also dissolves a little bit more in this 4D state of consciousness because the frequency is too high. In order for the ego to survive, it really needs to be in a low third density with a low vibration of 7.83 hertz. This is where the egos ideally like to reside in. Okay, in 5D state of consciousness, it's completely unconditional love. You've already transmuted the ego into a free spirit. You no longer allow the ego to be in control of your avatar, of this earth, this human avatar, this human earth vessel. You allow the higher self to take control, and you respond instead of reacting. Okay, responding means that you have more awareness, more consciousness of the situation that is presented to you, and you respond with higher awareness and more consciousness, and you most likely choose love instead of fear. Okay, beings in 5D state of consciousness will always choose unconditional love to resolve their differences. They have compassion, they're tolerant, even the way they speak is also shows a lot of compassion, a lot of love, a lot of wisdom too. Basically, if I were to describe 5D state of consciousness, you are becoming your angelic version of yourself. 5D is the beginning of heaven on earth. This is when you start creating heaven on earth, okay? And in order for you to create heaven on earth, you have to start becoming the angelic version of yourself. So if you can imagine how angels behave, how they act, how they talk, how they dress, the way they think, this is a 5D state of consciousness, and this is a 5D person or being that is resonating this frequency. Okay, so Now we're gonna go into some more characteristics so you guys know the differences, and you guys can easily recognize other people when you're in a conversation with them, and you also know how to handle them a lot better, so that way you're not always choosing to go into your ego mode and reacting, but then you gotta learn how to choose to be in the higher self, in the angelic version of yourself, and learning how to respond with this person when it comes to challenges and difficulties. Okay, 3D, a lot of people in 3D have that victimhood mentality that, oh, I didn't choose this life, I didn't choose my parents, I didn't choose the skin color, I didn't choose the way I am, I didn't choose to have this kind of life, yada yada yada. Is this mindset that they're a victim of their circumstances, that they're not in control of their circumstances, that God is in control of these circumstances. So the people in 3D state of consciousness, they don't have any power. They don't believe they're very powerful being. They just think they're just another, they just think another taxpayer in the system, making a paycheck and making a living their small lives, and just doing the rat race, and they're powerless to make any significant difference or impact in the planet, never mind the whole entire galaxy. This is a 3D state of consciousness. In 4D state of consciousness, they are starting to awaken to the fact that they are actually more powerful than what the Matrix have been programming them. They're awakening to new spiritual knowledge that they are creators of their reality. They're stepping to their powers more. They're taking their journey a little bit more seriously and putting spirituality as a priority, and start really understanding how do they create their own reality. What is it what are the tools that they're using to create their own reality, and they start just becoming more empowered. Okay, but they shift between the ego and their higher self, and so there's always that fight, that balance, that inner struggle between the ego and their higher self in 4D state of consciousness, because the 4D allows the ego to reside, but at 5D the ego is not there anymore. It's already been transmuted to a different energy. Okay, and 5D state of consciousness, a 5D being does not believe that they are a victim of their reality. They do not believe they're a victim of their circumstances. They fully take responsibility for everything that has been created in their life. They know that they chose their parents. They know that they chose the body that they have come into earth with. They know that they came here for a purpose. They know their mission, or at least their attempt. They know their mission. At 5D, you're fully awakened. You know what you came here to do. You know what your purpose is, and you live in that purpose. And you are at 5D. You're here to serve others. Okay, you're here to serve others. At 3D, you're here to serve yourself. That's the difference. And 4D, you're in between. Sometimes you're serving yourself, sometimes you're serving others. But at 5D, you're fully in control. You know you are a very powerful being. You know you're unlimited. You have unlimited power to create any reality that you want to experience. You take full responsibility for all the chaos, if there is any chaos in your life. You take on challenges as opportunity of growth. You don't have this victimhood mentality that, oh, I can't change the situation, I'm like this because it's my DNA, I'm like this because my parents passed me on these traits. It's no longer those kind of that mentality, that limitation in 5D. 5D, they take control of their reality, and they fully understand that they are very powerful being with unlimited power, and they can shift reality based on the beliefs they choose, on the thoughts they put out, on the emotions, and also on the actions. Okay, now consciousness from people in 3D state of consciousness, their consciousness is mostly programmed by the Matrix, which is the government, your TV, your movies, the culture, your family. It's also programmed by religion. Okay, their consciousness is derived from their environment. 4D state of consciousness, these people reject their consciousness from the Matrix. They start digging deeper. They don't want to believe into these beliefs anymore that's given by their religion. They don't want to believe anymore the beliefs given by the matrix, that they're here to just consume and then do their job, pay their taxes, retire at 50, 60, collect your pension. They no longer subscribe to this way of living. They start changing their consciousness and start going deeper, and they want to really create a life of abundance for themselves, but also for others as well too. So they start toning into their spiritual side. In 5D state of consciousness, these beings are fully awakened. They reject all programming from the matrix. They don't believe anything from the matrix anymore. They reject most, if not all, of the religious dogma. They go on a quest for spiritual enlightenment that is above that 3D programming of fear, scarcity, limitation, lack of power, being a victim, that they can't change their circumstances. 5D state of consciousness example would be 5D state of consciousness being that know that they're God. They know they're here to have just a human experience. They know that we're made from unconditional love, that you should not judge other people, because the act of judging means that you're causing a separation in consciousness from you and the other person. This is the reason why Jesus and Buddha and all these spiritual leaders teach us not to judge other people, because the act of judging separates the consciousness. Instead of being unified in unconditional love, when you judge other people, you're separating that consciousness. Now becomes a separation duality. Sorry, that's another important theme in 3D state of consciousness. This duality theme, good and bad, evil and good. Sorry, white and black, and this duality, this polarity lives in the 3D state of consciousness. Okay, in 5D state of consciousness, everything is one. 5D beings know that good and bad is this, one side of two sides of one coin. You need to have both for the system to work. You can't have one without the other. So everything is. So sorry, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze soon. So 5D state of consciousness do not have that polarity anymore. They understand the higher purpose, and they have a unified consciousness that everything is made from unconditional love, and they honor and they respect all life, and they definitely don't judge. They have a lot more compassion, more tolerance for beings that don't have the same consciousness as them. This is a very important distinction. Usually with people in 3D state of consciousness, when they are confronted with another being that have a different perspective than them, they go on the defense. They go on the attack. Immediately they attack. They want to make the other person wrong. Oh, you're wrong because you don't share the same state of consciousness, the same belief as me. This is the reason why we have these religious wars. We have these political system. It comes from this 3D state of consciousness. Okay, in 5D, you show compassion. You show tolerance for people who have a different perspective than you, because you know that they are on their own soul journey. You know that where they're at is because that's where they are understanding based on their programming. So you have compassion, you have tolerance, and you actually try to help them and being enlightened. You don't try to put them down. You don't try to attack them. And when you talk to people, you show a lot of wisdom. You have a lot of light, you have a lot of positivity, and the best way to describe it is when you talk to somebody who has a different perspective than you, a different belief than you. If you're a 5D being, you show them the light, basically, by your way of being, by the way you talk to them. You don't get angry, you don't get aggressive, but you talk to them in a polite, respectful way, and you show them how to be. This is the reason why, Jesus, Buddha, and all these spiritual teachers, they reincarnate into human form to show you how to become the 5D state of being, so that you can create your own heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is created from the 5D state of consciousness. You can never create your own version on heaven earth from a 3D or 4D state of consciousness, because the reason why, your ego is still in charge. or at least you're allowing the ego to be in charge. You haven't transmuted the ego to be a different vibration. You haven't transmuted the ego to be a free spirit. Okay? We're gonna have a couple more points and then I'm gonna wrap this up. 3D state of consciousness. People in 3D state of consciousness do not believe in extraterrestrial. The people in religion, they don't believe in ETs because it's not written in their Bibles. It's not written in the Quran. It's not written any of their spiritual scriptures. So they don't believe in extraterrestrials. People in the 3D matrix, they don't believe in ETs because why? The government doesn't really disclose that there's ETs because it's kept hidden from them. So therefore, most of these people that are in the 3D matrix don't acknowledge, don't believe in other extraterrestrial beings. That's just a concept from the movies. Aliens and all these things, that's just a concept from the movies. That's what you know from the movies. They don't really exist, okay? 4D state of consciousness being, they know that we are not the only one here. They use their own observation. They use their own intellect to observe the galaxy, the signs, the Pyramid of Giza, all these humongous monolithic buildings, and they come to their own realization that hey, there are also other higher beings, more sophisticated than humans, that have came here, that have been here, they've shown themselves. So they are awakened to the truth that we're not the only one here. Okay? 5D state of being, they know their galactic family. They know about the Arcturians, they know about the Pleiadians, they know about the Sirians, they know about the Lyrians, they know about the Avians. 5D state of consciousness, these people know about the galactic family. They understand that there are higher beings and we are just on the path to joining the galactic family. They also know that dolphins and porpoises, or dolphins and whales, are actually sentient beings like us. We are sentient beings, but so are dolphins and whales. They also know that dolphins and whales are stewardess of the ocean. Just like we are stewardess of the land, of the terrains, dolphins and whales are the stewards of the ocean. So 5D state of consciousness, they have full knowledge of their galactic family and all the other beings, and they have full honor and respect of those beings. Okay? Now, deception. People in 3D state of consciousness, they believe everything the Matrix tells them. Okay? They believe everything that religion tells them. They don't question it. They don't question authority. They still believe that we've been to the moon. They still believe the royal family are actually human beings. They still believe that Antarctica is just another piece of ice that is down beneath the earth and there's no life there. Well, all these are deception that's in the 3D programming. 4D state of conscious being, they've already started digging in. They already know that reality is not what it seems. They already know they've already uncovered a lot of the deception, especially about the moon. People in 4D know that the moon is the hoax, that we've never been on the moon. That is completely a false movie made by Stanley Kubrick. They also know that the royal family in Britain is not humans. They're already waking up to a lot of deception on planet Earth, and they're rejecting a lot of the mainstream belief system. They already start to wake up to the programming. They're not buying into it anymore. 5D state of consciousness, they already know what is they already know what is deception and what is truth. 5D, they already have galactic knowledge at that point. They understand things from a galactic knowledge. They understand that they don't conform to any of the belief system of a 3D person. None whatsoever. If you talk to a 5D person, you ask them, oh, what is your perspective on the moon? What do you think of the moon? A 5D person will tell you the moon is actually a satellite. It's a satellite that has been brought to Earth 300 or 350,000 years ago by the Anunnaki. It's actually a satellite that emits a lot of frequency to keep the human population at a very low resonance that prevents us from waking up. would be a belief system of a 5D person or a 5D being, because they have uncovered that many layers of deception that they have come to the truth. And the truth is, when you resonate in the 5D level, you're able to see all of the deception of the matrix. The matrix is completely full of lies. Everything about the matrix is a lie. A 5D person knows that reality is completely an illusion. Everything is an illusion. This appearance of density is only dense because light is resonating so low at 7.8 hertz thousands of years ago. That's why we have the illusion of solidity. 5D person knows that the reality is holographic. It's not really real. 5D person knows that consciousness is real. It's consciousness that creates reality. So your consciousness is very important. If you resonate at a 3D, which is a frequency of limitation, scarcity, fear, you're going to be creating a reality that has those same vibration. That's where you have the people creating in those vibration are creating a lot of problems in their life. Scarcity, poverty, limitation, diseases. This is coming from a 3D state of consciousness. In 5D, you're abundant, you're always healthy, you're always joyous, you're always in a constant state of excitement. You like challenges, you like all the things that life has to offer. Here's another example of 3D versus 4D, 5D state of consciousness. 3D state of consciousness, you believe Earth is just a rock that has molten lava inside of it. You believe the textbook will teach you that Earth is just a solid rock. Inside of the solid rock, there's molten lava. 4D, you don't know. You don't know what to believe anymore. You're still questioning if that's real or not. 5D, you know Gaia, Earth. You no longer call Earth. You call Earth Gaia now because you know Earth is actually a living being, just like you and I. Earth is actually a god as well too. The galaxy is also God. As you ascend in the ladder of light and you expand your consciousness, which is what the extension process is the expansion of your consciousness, you actually transmute your form from being this earth, physical human being, to eventually to be a planet, then eventually be to a whole galaxy, because only those type of beings will be large enough to contain your energy. So people in 5D knows that Gaia, all the other planets, all the other galaxy, they're actually God themselves. They're all sentient beings. They're all living. And that if you hurt Gaia with pollution and all this destruction, you're actually hurting yourself. Okay? This is the different state of consciousness so you understand. One more thing. We're gonna wrap this up because I don't want to be too long. I know people are busy and it's guaranteed to be 30 minutes long already. So we're gonna wrap this up with one last point, okay? People in 3D state of consciousness are very caught up in the materialistic world, making money, possessions, duality, success, fame. They don't understand their meaning of life. They don't really ponder those things. They don't care about spirituality. They have no interest in spirituality. It is the last priority on their priority list. Okay, most of the time they have no understanding of human history. They fall in one of the two belief systems. Either one, they believe the creation story from their Bible or from the Quranic or from their spiritual teachers or the spiritual teaching from their books, or they believe in the theory of evolution. This is from these beings are coming from a 3D perspective. Okay. People in 4D are awakening. They reject those kind of programming. They start looking into the higher meaning of life, the deeper meaning of life. They put spirituality as a very important personal journey. They want to understand why they're here. They don't like that they're just working for money and paying taxes and just living such a small life. They want to have more meaning to it. There has to be more meaning to it. We can't just come here to Earth, have a job, consume, then eventually die. That can't be existence. So 4D is in this state. 5D, beings in this 5D understand human history. They understand why they're here. So an example of 5D would be, okay, 5D beings knows that we originate from source. We, as in our spiritual essence, came from source. Okay, but our human vessel, our avatar, were created by advanced being called Elohims. So the human form was created by another extraterrestrial race, which is much more higher in consciousness, that created this human vessel. But our spiritual essence, our spirit, comes from source. So we are actually God incarnated into his human form to have a human experience. A 5D person also knows that the purpose of our life is to come here to have this human experience, to finally experience this journey of separation from source, to eventually come into union from source. So if you can think of it as a water cycle, if source is the ocean and you're the water droplet, you're going from the journey of being a water droplet and going back into reuniting with the ocean again, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that is why we are all here. We're all here to have this journey of separation from source and to full remembrance of who we really are, which is God ourselves, to have this human form, to actually experience love, to experience a lot of these emotions, to just not know it but actually to fully experience it, and to fully express ourselves as a God, to actually create our own version of heaven on earth, to actually understand our fullest power, to actually know what our powers are, how capable we are, how unlimited we are, to be able to create our own heaven on earth. Okay, so 5D beings have a lot of knowledge from a galactic perspective. They don't subscribe to the 3D programming. So an example would be a galactic perspective would be, we're here to not only ascend with the planet, but we're also here to reunite with our galactic family, the family of light, to be a part of the galactic family, that we know we are a very important piece of this huge cosmic puzzle, that without our essence, without our being here, that the all is not complete. The 5D perspective would be like, they know that the one is all and the all is one. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The all is one and the one is all. That is the paradox. So with that, you have to understand and appreciate all life, every life, because even the rocks, even the rocks and the fire, the air, believe it or not, that is actually God as well too. That is actually God in the first dimensional state of consciousness. Okay, that is an example of a 5D being with galactic knowledge. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap this up by saying that now that you can understand the distinction between 3D, 4D, and 5D, when a person who is 3D state of consciousness talks to a person who has 5D state of consciousness, without a shadow of a doubt, the person who has a 3D will think this 5D person is crazy, out of their mind. They're completely wacko. They don't think like a normal being. Okay, so that's normal, because from a 3D perspective, they have limited understanding because they've been programmed and conditioned to think a certain way, either by the religion or by the matrix, by the government and their textbooks. So they think very differently. But a 5D will always have compassion for a 3D person, or always have compassion for a 4D person, because they have that higher awareness, understanding that there's so much lies and deception, that how can you judge another being when they are so fully immersed in lies and deception? You can't judge a being like that. All you can do is show love and compassion and show them the light, and just show them your way of being. So hopefully they can, the person who is 3D and 4D will eventually wake up, because when you speak truth, And when you resonate truth, it activates the people's DNA as well too. It also raises their vibration, and it also gets them to connect with their higher self, to go on that search for higher meaning, higher awareness. Okay, so I'm sorry this is a very long video. It's a long chat, but it was really important for you guys to learn the difference between 3D, 4D, and 5D, so that way you guys can have more compassion, more tolerance when it comes to talking to people in these states of consciousness, and you guys are no longer fighting with each other anymore. Okay, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please engage and show me a comment. Tell me what you thought about it. Did you like it? What did you think about these 3 different states of consciousness? Do you want to attain this 5D state of consciousness, so that way you can start create your own version of heaven on earth? And I would appreciate if you guys make a like, share, and leave me a comment. So without further ado, I'm going to wrap this up and tune in to the next video, and I'll be sharing more lights and more information. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye bye.